السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Alhamdulillah, we finally made it. We made it to the end of the story of Prophet Yusuf. For those of you who have attended every class since the beginning of Ramadan, alhamdulillah, give yourselves a round of applause. Give yourselves a pat on the back. You did it. You followed through for the whole 20 classes. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala place it in your scales of good on the day that you are going to need it the most. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all and allow the information that we are going to finish absorbing today, inshallah. May it be a blessing for you and for your family, for your children, for many, many years and many, many challenges that are to come in your life. So we finally arrived at the end of the story. So yesterday we left off with Yusuf alayhi salam instructing the brothers to leave Egypt and to go back to Palestine and take with them his shirt. Take his shirt with them. And to get to Palestine and throw the shirt over Yaqub's face. All right? And yartadda basira, and his, or yati basira, and his eyesight will come back to him. All right? And we said that from this was a principle that the scholars say that as Imam Sa'di rahimahullah ta'ala specifically, he said that every sickness is cured with its opposite. Kullu da'in yudawi bi dhiddihi. And that's a principle. That is a principle in our religion. All right? Every disease, all right, every sickness is cured with its opposite. So no matter what your disease is, no matter what your sickness or your illness is, whether it is internally or externally, the cure for that is the opposite. So if your disease is, or your illness is stinginess, and then the cure is the opposite, which is to be more giving. If your disease is selfishness, then the cure for it is to be selfless. If your disease is arrogance, then your cure is humility. If your disease is ignorance, then your cure is knowledge. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Alaysa shifa' al-'ay as-su'al." Isn't the cure for ignorance to ask a question, to seek knowledge? Isn't the cure for ignorance to seek knowledge, to ask a question? Okay, so very powerful principle, and that can be used in so many different areas of our lives. And so therefore, Yaqub's sickness, he was getting sick, he went blind, he's getting sick, his health is failing because of his separation from Yusuf, right? Because of his separation from Yusuf. And so therefore the cure would be to have a connection with Yusuf now. So Yusuf told them, فَأَلْقُوهُ اذْهَبُوا بِقَمِيصِ هَذَا فَأَلْقُوهُ عَلَى وَجْهِ أَبِي يَأْتِ بَصِيرًا وَأْتُونِي بِأَهْلِكُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. Go back to Palestine and take my shirt. Take my shirt with you. And when you reach your father, throw it over his face, and يَأْتِ بَصِيرًا, his eyesight will come back to him. وَأْتُونِي بِأَهْلِكَ أَجْمَعِينَ, and bring me your entire family. Bring your entire family back to Egypt. All right. So Yusuf is now talking like a boss. Yusuf is now giving boss instructions, bringing the whole family so that they could be cured and they could reunite and they could rid themselves of the drought. Fast forward, we are now on surah number 12, ayat 94. Pay attention, because these last few ayats, there's only 6 more ayats that we need to cover. These last 6 ayats, very important. Pay attention, please. Please pay attention to these next verses. We're on ayat number 94. وَلَمَّا فَصَلَتِ الْعِيرُ قَالَ أَبُوهُمْ إِنِّي لَأَجِدُ رِيحَ يُوسُفَ لَوْلَا أَن تُفَنِّدُونَ. As the caravan is leaving Egypt on its way back to Palestine, Yusuf Yaqub alayhi salam, he said, Inni la ajidu riha Yusuf. I can smell the fragrance of Yusuf. This was before the caravan even got close. Some of the scholars say that Yusuf Yaqub alayhi salam, like Mujahid, he said that Asaba Yaqub rih Yusuf min masirata thalathata ayyam. Mujahid said that Yaqub could smell the fragrance of Yusuf from 3 days away. 3 days different, 3 days distance. They were 3 days from reaching Palestine, coming from Egypt, and Yaqub could smell the fragrance of Yusuf. He said, Inni la ajidu riha Yusuf. I can smell the fragrance of Yusuf. And as I said before, sometimes, and that's not far-fetched, because sometimes when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes one faculty away from you, He enhances the other faculties. He increases the quality of the other faculties to overcompensate for the faculty that you lost. All right? That's by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that when Allah takes a faculty away from you, He increases the quality of the other faculties to overcompensate for the loss that he tested you with. You understand? So it's not far-fetched that he could smell, and obviously this was a mu'jiza. This was a miracle, obviously. But he could also not just smell the fragrance of Yusuf, but even when the brothers finally returned to Palestine, he could sense the energy was a little different. Why was the energy a little different with the brothers when they returned this time? Let me see if you guys can pick up on it. Why was the energy of the sons a little different when they returned from Egypt this time and they came back to Palestine? Why was their energy a little different? Why was the energy with the sons different this time when they returned from Egypt? That Yusuf could kind of pick up on the fact, Yaqub could pick up on the fact that it's a little different. Their energy is a little off. It's a little different. Because they knew that they now had come face to face with the fact that Yusuf, right? That would change your entire mood. That would change your entire energy. They had admitted that they were wrong. They now know that the Aziz is Yusuf, and they also asked for forgiveness. You understand? They asked for forgiveness. They asked for forgiveness. So, it's just like, you breathe a sigh of relief. It's like, we've been holding on to this for years, and we finally got a chance to just own it. The father knew that Yusuf was alive. He knew. He had no doubt about that. But when the brothers returned, he could sense that something was off. Something was a little different. It was something a little different, right? They were humbled. They had went to Egypt and they got humbled by an experience that they could have never imagined. They could have never imagined when they returned to Egypt and walked into the king's court that the man that they were addressing was going to remove his crown and finally tell them that I am Yusuf. Mind-blowing. They could have never known when they left Palestine to go to Egypt that they were going to be confronted with something, their worst nightmare. They could have never known that they were going to be met with that type of, they were going to be confronted with that type of, confrontation. They could have never imagined that. So quite naturally, anybody would be shaken up about that. You're different. You're different. They had to come clean. They had to repent. They had to be, to confront their guilt. They had to confront their past. Any single one of us, if your past came face to face with you, because that is what Yusuf confronting them, that is what that represented. That was something that you did in the past, and now it is staring you right in your face. How many of us have done things in our past, and when that thing is staring you right in your face and you have no other choice but to confront that, your energy would obviously be a lot different. They had to come face to face with something that they did 40 years ago. And now it's staring them right in their face, and there's nothing that they can do. It's just like a child, right? It's like a parent who neglects their child, right? You neglect your child. And then somewhere along the line, your child now becomes an adult. And now you come face to face with this child who now confronts you about the years that you neglected them. I just want to know why. What did I do? Why would you bring me into the world and then abandon me, then leave me? And now this child is now confronting you. This is your past coming back to haunt you. This is your past coming back to haunt you. A man might divorce a woman for no reason at all, no good reason, and left those children to be raised by their mother, and that child one day becomes an adult and confronts you as a man. That is a very difficult conversation. You understand? That is a very difficult conversation for your son or for your daughter to confront you as a man. And here you are, you might be currently married, raising somebody else's kids, and here comes your biological child coming up to you to confront you about why you divorced their mother, why you left them, and you never came back. You never bought them so much as a pamper. Nothing. You've never bought them so much as a pamper. You divorced their mother and you walked away never to turn around again. Ever. And that happens in the Muslim community, without a doubt. Happens. I know personally brothers who I have zero respect for, who have walked away from their children and has never since turned back. Here their children are teenagers in today's time. And if they were standing right in front of their face, they wouldn't even know who their own son or daughter was. Meanwhile, you done went and married 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 times. You done went and got married afterwards. You have never made a sincere effort to even go back and visit your children and communicate with your children and establish a relationship with your children. Why in the world would you have children? Why would you bring children in the world if that's how you was going to raise them? That is how you were going to leave them. Why? I don't get it. I don't understand. Why would you bring children into the world if you had no intentions on even acknowledging, even so much as acknowledging them as your children? I come in contact with brothers like this, and I have zero respect. My conversation very limited. I don't have nothing to say to you. I have no respect for you whatsoever. You don't went to Yemen, you don't went to Egypt, you don't went to Saudi Arabia, you don't study here, study there, and every time you come back, your beard get longer, you got your white thobe on, and you talking about how much knowledge you've acquired. Meanwhile, you got children over here that you don't even acknowledge. All that knowledge that you carry and all that information you carry mean absolutely nothing, man. Nothing. Because if anybody knew your true story, anybody knew your narrative, nobody would take one hadith from you, period. If people really knew your narrative, nobody would sit at your feet and listen to you, period. It happens though, but it's a difficult conversation, man. It's a difficult conversation, man. Yusuf is now confronting them about something that they did. They did to him years ago, and they could have never, it just caught them off guard. They weren't anticipating that conversation. They were not anticipating that conversation. So when they got back to Egypt and Yusuf just finally just kind of looked at them, they're in distress, they're in a difficult situation. He's like, all right, I got to come clean with it now, but this is going to be a tough conversation for you. He said, do you remember what you guys did to Yusuf and his brother? They said, قالوا أأنت يوسف أإنك لأنت يوسف. You Yusuf? قال أنا يوسف وهذا أخي قد من الله علينا. Absolutely. Absolutely. So Yaqub alayhi salam, he says that I smell the fragrance of Yusuf. Lola an tufannidun. If you don't accuse me of being crazy, if you don't accuse me of being crazy, I can smell the fragrance of Yusuf. فلما أن جاء البشير ألقاه على وجهه فارتد بصيرا. That when they finally arrived in Palestine, one of the brothers, Yehuda, he walks up to Yaqub and he throws Yusuf's shirt over his face. فَرَتَدَّ بَصِيرًا, and his eyesight came back to him just like that. That's a miracle. Eyesight came back to him just like that. قَالَ أَلَمْ أَكُلْ لَكُمْ إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ مِنَ اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. And then Yaqub says, didn't I tell you that I know about Allah that which you don't know? Ibn Kathir said that the one who held the shirt and threw it over the face of Yaqub, he was the same one who brought the bloodied shirt to Yaqub at the beginning of the story. So rightfully so, they tasked him. You were the one who took the bloody shirt to him. You were the one who caused him the pain. Now you're the one who comes to heal him from the pain. Rightfully so. If you are the one that caused the pain, then you should be the one to cure the person from the pain that you caused. And let's make that a lesson, because I just really think that that's very important, man. We can't just skip over that, man. We can't just skip over that. So let's make that lesson number 67. Lesson 67. We'll work it all out once I get the book together. Lesson number 67. If you cause the pain, then you cause the cure. If you caused the pain, then you cause the cure. Then be the cause of the cure. Or the healing. You understand? If you were the one that caused somebody pain, then be the cause of the pleasure. Be the cause of the healing. You caused them the pain, rightfully so. You should be the one to cause the healing. You can't just put somebody in pain, traumatize somebody, and then walk away and think that you are not responsible. The brothers, it was so strategic that they made him responsible for taking the shirt. You're going to do it. You were the one who brought the bloody shirt to him. You were the one who put him, in this situation to begin with. So you, rightfully so, you're the one that bring the healing. You brought the pain, you bring the healing. You bring the pain, you bring the healing. You are responsible for the pain, then be responsible for the healing. You understand? Look at anybody in your life that you have hurt, that you have to take ownership and responsibility for the pain that you've caused people. Sometimes we turn around and we blame the person for being in pain, when in fact you were the one who caused the pain. How are you going to condemn somebody for being in pain and you were the one who caused it? A brother might say to his wife, you need to stop being so jealous. Well, dude, if you haven't been caught cheating 2, 3, 4 times, then maybe she wouldn't be so jealous. Maybe she would have a little bit more security about herself. Maybe she would be more confident about herself. If she didn't see you looking at every single woman other than her, then maybe she would have more confidence. How are you going to cause the pain and then turn around and condemn the person for being in pain? I don't understand that. You cause the pain, then you bring the healing. You cause the pain, you be the cause of the healing. Don't say, sister, oh, your husband, he'll get over it. He'll get over it. No, you were the one who caused the pain. You go back and you fix it. You fix it. So if you were the cause of someone's pain, then also be the cause of their healing. Contribute to their healing. Even if you don't have access to the person at this point, make dua for them. Make dua for them. Go into sujood and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the pain, I know the pain that I've caused this person. I've caused this person. There's children right now who are in pain because of the pain that their parents have caused to them. You have parents who are responsible for some of the trauma and the pain that children are experiencing right now in their lives. And you think that as a parent that you are exonerated, that you're not accountable, you're not responsible. Wallah al-azim, you are responsible. How many years have children have to, toil and, be patient and, exercise patience with the parent until they can finally get the hell away from the parent? But by the time the child gets away from you, the child has been traumatized. Traumatized. And as a parent, if you know that you are responsible for the pain of your children, and you know the role that you played in the pain of your children, every single one of us knows it. If you sit back and you can think about all of the times that you chided your child, that you condemned your child, that you found fault with your child, you physically abused the child, you mentally abused the child, you verbally abused the child, go back and make that right. I don't care. There's no statute of limitations. As I said before, there's no statute of limitations on being an idiot and causing somebody pain. There's no statute of limitations. You can't say, oh, that was 30 years ago. La wallahi, so what? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't care. Time doesn't matter to God. It matters to us. It's all part of your experience, all part of your narrative when you stand in front of God. Time is not, there are no constraints on time. Oh, that was 30 years ago. So what? The pain still exists. As long as the pain still exists, you are still responsible. As long as the pain exists, you're still responsible. So that's lesson number 67, man. And where did we get that from? The brother Yehuda was charged by the other brothers to go and throw the shirt over Yaqub's face because he was in fact the one who brought him the bloody shirt at the beginning of the story. You are responsible for the pain. You be responsible for the healing. It's only right. It's only right. His eyesight returns to him. قالوا يا أبانا استغفر لنا ذنوبنا إنا كنا خاطئين. In the next ayat, they say, oh, our Father, seek forgiveness for our sins, for indeed we were wrong. Indeed, we were wrong. Oh, our Father, seek forgiveness for our sins, for indeed we were wrong. We're on ayat number 97. قالوا يا أبانا استغفر لنا ذنوبنا إنا كنا خاطئين. Oh, our Father, seek forgiveness for our sins, for indeed we were wrong. So they owned up to Yusuf. Now they're going back to their father and they're owning up to their father. And this is one of the conditions of Tawbah, that you go back and you make amends with the person that you wronged. You go back and you make amends with the person that you wronged. You don't just say, well, I'm going to go ask Allah for forgiveness. La wallahi, not when it involves you and another human being, another individual. You understand? If the sin includes you and another person that you wrong, you have to go back to that person and you have to make amends with that person. As a matter of fact, the Prophet ﷺ said that if you will not be forgiven by Allah until your brother forgives you. It's a connection. You will not be forgiven by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala until your brother, your sister in Islam forgives you. Meaning the one that you did wrong to. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned in another hadith, he said, من كانت له مظلمة لأخيه من عرض أو من شيء فليحلل منه اليوم قبل أن لا يكون دينارا ولا درهم. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, من كانت له مظلمة لأخيه, that whoever has a right that he owes to his brother or his sister, whoever has a right that he owes to his brother or his sister, min irdin, either you dishonored him, you talked about them behind their back, you disgraced their honor, aw min shay, or anything else that you have violated that person, فَلْيُحَلِّلْ مِنْهُ الْيَوْمِ, then you need to make it right. Give them their rights back. Today. This is a commandment from the Prophet ﷺ. Today. فَلْيُحَلِّلْ مِنْهُ الْيَوْمِ, restore the person's honor today. قَبْلَ أَنْ لَا يَكُونُ دِينَارًا وَلَا دِرْهَمْ, before there comes a day where there will be no bargaining with money. There will be no dinar, no dirham, no money. There will be nothing of finances, of money to bargain with. The only thing that you will bargain with in the hereafter is your good deeds. That's it. It's not about It's not about you forgiving someone. It's about, now we're talking about if you violated somebody and then you need to go ask them for forgiveness. You need to go restore that person's haqq. You need to restore that person's right today before there comes a time where there will be no dinar wala dirham. There will be no dinar, no dirham. There will be no bargaining. You will bargain with your good deeds on the day of judgment. That's not what you want. You don't want to be in a situation where you had ample opportunity to go make right on the things that you did to other people, violations that you've done to other people. You had ample opportunity. And you waited all the way up until death came to you. And then now you're on the other side. And now you got nothing to bargain with except your hasanat. And I hope you got a lot of hasanat, because there are going to be people that are going to come to collect. People that you backbit. People that you understand. Hassan al-Basri or Imam Malik, one of them, they said that a person will come on Yawm al-Qiyamah. A man will come on the day of judgment. And after seeing all of his hasanat, he will see a mountain of good deeds that he didn't do. And he will turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and says, where is this mountain of good deeds coming from? I didn't do that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, those are the good deeds that were given to you, that were taken from people who violated you in this dunya. This person backbit you. This person talked about you behind your back. This person slandered you. This person took your wealth. This person skimmed off the top. He used to work for you, skimmed off the top, took money from you. All of the people that violated you, those will be your pile of hasanat that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will collect from the people that violated you. You don't want to be in that situation. You don't want to be in a situation where you had the opportunity to rectify, reconcile issues with people that you have violated, that you have wronged. You understand? I'm talking about now personal responsibility. People who you have done things wrong to. People who you have violated. Obviously, if you talked about somebody behind their back and they don't know that you talked about them behind their back, there's no need for you to go to the person and say, hey, I talked about you behind your back. Because even that within itself is an offense. If you come to me and you say, yo, brother Shadid, I'm sorry, man, please forgive me, man. I talked about you like a dog behind your back. You know, that is not like you owning your wrong. That's you rubbing it in my face. That's sarcasm. That's disrespect, borderline, you know, about to get the fire slapped out of you. You understand? That you don't do that to somebody. If the person doesn't know that you spoke about them behind their back, then there's no need for you to go and tell them. We are givers of glad tidings. You understand? We are givers of glad tidings. If the person knows, it reached them that you did speak about them behind their back, or that you talked about them or whatever, then it becomes a personal responsibility for you to go to them and to apologize. Why? Because now they know. And it makes the conversation more genuine now because they know. And now you got to go to the person and say, hey, listen, I know you know that I spoke about you, or that I brought your name up in this conversation because somebody else went back and told you. Let me apologize to you. But if the person doesn't know that you talked about them behind their back, it's asinine for you to go to them and say, hey, I talked about you behind your back. That's borderline disrespect. You don't have to do that. If you have no way to get in touch with the person at this point, then make dua for them. Go into sujood and pray for them until you feel like you've repaid them. Make sujood, prostrate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and ask Allah to forgive them. Watch what Yaqub does. So they ask Yaqub, Istaghfir lana dhunubana inna kunna khati'in. Seek forgiveness for us, for indeed we were wrong. We were wrong. What does Yaqub say? I want to see if somebody can catch this. Yaqub, he said, قال سوف أستغفر لكم ربي إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. He said, I will ask my Lord for forgiveness for you, for verily he is all forgiving and merciful. You have to understand Arabic to understand the secret that is in this ayah. You'll never get it in English. I just read you the English. I'm looking at the English translation here. You will never get it in English. You will never get it in English. He said, I will ask my Lord for forgiveness for you, for verily he is all forgiving and merciful. Yaqub didn't forgive them? No, he did. But there's something else attached to it. It's a little deep, man. You gotta know Arabic. What does the word sofa in Arabic, what does that mean? They said, oh our Father, seek forgiveness for us, for indeed we were wrong. We were wrongdoers. Yaqub said, قَالَ سَوْفَ أَسْتَغْفِرُ لَكُمْ رَبِّي. What does the word sofa in Arabic, what does that mean? Right, in English it says soon. I will do it. So what is Yaqub saying here? Sofa is for the future, yes. So what does it mean here? It's future tense, meaning I'm not going to do it right now. I'll do it later. What does he mean when he says he's going to do it later? Let me see if somebody can catch it. I will do it in the future. Okay, but how much longer in the future? They won't ask forgiveness from Allah on their own. No, they wronged their father. So they're asking the father to ask Allah for forgiveness for them. We're talking about going back to somebody that you wronged. He's still not with it. No, he will eventually. I will pray for you to make sure they're being truthful. He will get there. At some point he will. Judgment Day. No. Before Judgment Day. You were right there. You jumped right over it. When he sees Yusuf, no. Before that. When he gets ready, no. No. After he sees Yusuf, no. Nope. Thank you. Samir, Sims. In the middle of the night, when you want to ask forgiveness for somebody, you get up in the third of the night. When you know that your dua is going to be heard. The last third of the night, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala descends to the lowest heaven. And he says what? هَلْ مِن مُسْتَغْفِرٍ فَأَغْفِرْ لَهُ. Is there anyone asking me for forgiveness so I can forgive them? Samir, good job. MashaAllah. No, he's going to get up in the third of the night. No, he's going to get up in the last third of the night. This happened during the day. Yaqub said, I will soon ask forgiveness for you. Meaning, when nighttime comes, I'm going to get up in the third of the night and I'm going to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive you. Because if you really want to ask Allah for forgiveness for someone, then you will pick the right times wherein Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is answering dua. And there's no greater time than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answering dua than the last third of the night when Allah descends to the lowest heaven. And he says specifically, as the Prophet ﷺ mentioned in the hadith, هَلْ مِن مُسْتَغْفِرٍ فَأَغْفِرَ لَهُ. Is there anyone asking me for forgiveness so I can forgive them? SubhanAllah. This is why it's important to know Arabic. This is why it's important to know Arabic. قَالَ سَوْفَ أَسْتَغْفِرُ لَكَ رَبِّي. Soon I will ask for forgiveness. In the near future. Meaning later on that night. In the middle of the night. In the middle of the night. I will get up in the middle of the night. And that brings me to my next lesson. My next lesson. Lesson number 68 here. Sacrifice is the ultimate proof of love. Sacrifice is the ultimate proof of love. Yaqub is going to sacrifice a portion of his night to get up and ask Allah for forgiveness for children that he loves dearly. You understand? Sacrifice is the ultimate proof of love. If a person tells you that they love you and they have never made a sacrifice, they don't love you. They have not proven to you that they love you, because love is just a word until somebody comes along and gives it meaning. The word love is a word until somebody comes along and makes it mean something. It's just a word. It's just a word until somebody comes along and gives it meaning. Person can tell you all your life, I love you. But if they've never made a sacrifice to prove to you that they love you, then is the love even real? Is it real? Is it real? If you really want to show somebody that you love them, look at the sacrifices that you make for them. Look at the sacrifices. Stop, sisters. Sometimes you criticize your husband. Oh, you don't really love me. Do you love me? Do you really love me? Look at the sacrifices that he makes for you. Look at the sacrifices. Men don't always have the voice. Men don't always have the gall to say to his wife, I love you, or baby, I love you, and to give you these words of affirmation. Some men, their love language is rooted in action. You understand? Some men, their love language is rooted in, kind gestures, doing things for you, acts of service. That is their love language. No, they don't say, oh, hug you, come up behind you, hug you, baby, I love you, kiss you on your neck, and do that on a regular basis. There's some men who do that. And there's some men who their love language is rooted in acts of service, the sacrifices that they make for you. Sacrifices that they make for you. And Yaqub is saying that he will get up in the middle of the night. I'm not going to ask Allah for forgiveness for you now. I'm going to wait until it's a time in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is accepting dua. And I'm going to make a sacrifice. I'm going to sacrifice a portion of my night. And I'm going to get up and I'm going to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. You understand? If you really want to prove to somebody you love them, then make a sacrifice for them. You understand? Where do we also learn that from? There's another story of a prophet that we learn this from, literally, that a sacrifice is the proof of love. Where else do we learn this concept? There's another story, another prophet story, where we learn sacrifice being the proof of love. Where? Let me see who can catch it. There's another story, another prophet story, that we get this concept from, that sacrifice is the proof of love. Surah Ibrahim, the story of Ibrahim. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. The story of Prophet Ibrahim. He was willing to slaughter his own son to prove to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he loved Allah more. Sacrifice is the ultimate proof of love. You understand? He was willing to sacrifice his son to prove to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he loved Allah more. Sacrifice, literally sacrifice, being the ultimate proof of love. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saw that Ibrahim put the knife to his son's neck and he was getting ready to do it, Allah sent him a sheep. You've proven your point. I get it. You love me. You understand? You love me. I get it. You understand? Sacrifice is the ultimate proof of love. And this is why the difficult salat on the hypocrite is what salat? Salatul Fajr and Salatul Isha. Because Salatul Fajr requires a sacrifice of getting out the bed, stopping your sleep, and getting up and pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's a sacrifice. And Salatul Isha, because there's other things that we would like to get into at night, and we stop what we're doing to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are sacrifices. Salatul Fajr and Salatul Isha are sacrifices. And this is why these are the most difficult salat on the hypocrite, because the hypocrite love for God is contingent on what is convenient. A hypocrite doesn't really love God. And they will only do what is convenient for them. But the moment they have to make a sacrifice, not going to happen. You understand? They're not going to happen because they don't really love God. They worship based upon convenience. But if you truly love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you with it, no matter where it takes you, no matter what sacrifices you have to make. All right, so sacrifice is the ultimate proof of love. Yaqub said, I will ask for forgiveness for your sins, meaning I'll get up in the last third of the night, and I'll ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. He said, Innahu huwa al-ghafuru rahim, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I know Allah is ghafuru rahim, He's forgiving and merciful. أخر الدعاء يعقوب أخر الدعاء إلى وقت السحر يعني ثلث الليل الأخير. Yaqub delayed his dua for his sons to the last third of the night. He really loved his sons. He really wanted them to be forgiven. If you really want to pray for somebody, when somebody says, make dua for me, and you say, okay, get up at the third of the night and make dua for them. If you really want to make dua for them. So now fast forward. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, here again, the Quran doesn't give you the tafasil, doesn't give you the details. Fast forward there now, he tells them, they tell him, Yusuf is the Aziz of Egypt, and he sent, as the scholars mention, that Yusuf alayhi salam, he sent 200 camels and supplies with the brothers. He sent some other men along with the brothers to go bring Yaqub and the rest of his family back to Egypt. I told you, Yusuf is making boss moves now. Yusuf, when he sent the brothers from Egypt, he sent them with 200 camels and horses and caravans to bring his family from Egypt, bring his family from Palestine all the way back to Egypt. Boss. So fast forward, now the caravan is on its way back to Egypt with Yusuf's entire family. Yusuf's entire family now is on their way back to Egypt. All right, they arrive, they get to Egypt. فلما دخلوا على يوسف آوى إليه أبويه وقال ادخلوا مصر إن شاء الله آمنين. When they finally arrive, this is the moment that we have all been waiting for. From the beginning of this surah, this is the moment that we have all been waiting for. We have all been waiting with bated breath. Two things in this surah, in this story. And that was when Yusuf came out of prison and confronted Zulaykha and her friends. And now Yusuf having the opportunity to speak to his father, whom he has not seen in 40 some odd years, man. 40 some odd years, Yusuf, maybe 50 years, he has not seen his father. And now the father, the family, the brothers, everybody, the whole family done migrated. He uprooted his whole family, sent 200 camels and horses and caravans and supplies. Bring me my whole squad. Bring me my whole family. Bring them all to Egypt. He's making boss moves now. He is responsible for the wealth of Egypt. He is the second most powerful man in Egypt. You understand? He got the ability to do that. Bring my whole squad. Bring my whole family to Egypt. So they finally arrive in Egypt. SubhanAllah. I'm praying that I can contain myself. This story started with a conversation between Yusuf and Yaqub, and it ends with a conversation between Yusuf and Yaqub. I want you to pay attention to that. This story starts when Yusuf saying, إذ قال يوسف لأبيه يا أبي لا أبتي إني رأيت أحد عشر كوكبا والشمس والقمر رأيتهم للساجدين قال يا بني لا تقصص رؤياك على إخوتك فيكيد لك كيدا. That's how the story starts. The story starts with Yusuf saying to his father, "Oh my beloved father, I saw in a dream 11 stars, the sun, the moon, I saw them all prostrating to me." That is the beginning of this story. The story begins with a conversation between Yusuf and his father, and the story ends with a conversation between Yusuf and his father. Subhanallah al-Azim. Yaqub and his family finally reach Egypt. In some narrations, Yusuf and the king of Egypt, as well as the king's court, went out into the courtyard to welcome Yaqub and his aunt, to welcome Leah and Yaqub and welcome them into Egypt. فَلَمَّا دَخَلُوا عَلَى يُوسُف, when they entered the king's court, آوَى إِلَيْهِ أَبَوَيْهِ, Yusuf alayhi salam got up to go embrace his father, a man that he had not seen for over 40 years, man. Subhanallah al-Azim. Can you imagine being away from your parents for so long? Hearing that your father went blind. It's like a man in jail and you hear that your mother's sick and your father's got this and your father's got cancer and your mother's this and your mother's health is fading. And you're stuck behind bars because there's nothing that you can do. And then finally you are let loose, you are let free, and you go home and you are the man for your family. You understand? Think about a man who is in prison and his wife is out there with the kids and she's holding it down to the best of her ability. Still coming up, making visits, putting money on his book, giving him food packages. And then on top of all of that, maintaining his 3, 4, 5 children all by herself. And he's just going crazy in jail because he's like, I can't be there for my family. I miss my wife. I miss my children. She's holding it down to the best of her ability. And then finally he comes home and he's the man of the home. Babe, you don't gotta work no more. I'm here. I got it. Everything, I got it. I'm gonna handle everything from this point forward. You understand? This is Yusuf alayhi salam. This is Yusuf. Brought his father into Egypt, brought his whole entire family. I'm the man now. I take care of my family. And this is a lesson for brothers who come home from prison. Yusuf didn't come home from prison and run back into the streets, run back to the same women. Yusuf came home from prison, assumed the position of kingship, assumed his rightful position as a king, and took care of his family. That's what you do when you come home from prison. That is what you do when you come home from prison. You don't come home from prison and run back out into the streets, giving your time and your energy to the same sorry behind Negroes that did nothing for you the whole time that you was incarcerated. The whole time you was incarcerated, none of them dudes sent you a letter, put money on your books, not even to go visit your children and make sure they was okay. Because when you out of sight, you out of mind. And then what do? This woman is making sacrifices to put money on your books, taking care of your children, coming up to visit you when she can. And as soon as you come home, you run right back out into the streets in front of the same Negroes who didn't give a damn about you. You gotta be kidding me. What type of loyalty, misplaced loyalty do you have? Your loyalty belongs to the woman who made the sacrifices for you. That's where your loyalty belongs. That is where your loyalty belongs. Yusuf didn't come home from prison and run back to the women who sent him to prison, run back to the women who desired him, run back to the women, because you have some brothers who come home from prison and you trying to make up for lost time. You sleeping and smashing, everything moving. I've been locked up for 3 years. I've been locked up for 5 years. So I'm going to go and I'm going to soil my royal oats in every woman I lay with, because I need to make up for lost time. You got to be kidding me, man. Meanwhile, this woman taking care of your kids, this woman putting money on your books, this woman is getting up at night making dua for you, praying for you. And you come home and do what? I don't think this relationship going to work. How in the hell are you going to say, I don't think this relationship going to work? What in the world did you know about relationships? You just spent the past 10 years of your life in prison. What the hell you know about relationships? You got a better relationship with your bunkie, the dude that you was in a prison cell with, than you do your own damn wife. You got to be kidding me. You got a better relationship with your bunkie than you do your wife that took care of your children, held you down for the whole time that you was incarcerated. You got to be kidding me, man. I think men really need to get their priorities straight, man. Priorities is jacked up, man. Priorities is all jacked up. Misplaced loyalty. You got a better relationship with the dude that you was in your cell with, your bunkie. You got a better relationship with him than you have with your own damn wife. And you come home talking about, I don't think this is going to work. I think we should go our separate ways. What the hell you know about a relationship working? When have you ever held a relationship longer than the time that you was in prison? Because the only relationships it seemed like you ever held on to are the relationships with the men that you developed in prison. We got our priorities mixed up, man. And let's look at Yusuf, man. Look at what he did when he came home from prison. He used the skill in prison. Some men develop skills in prison. Develop skills in prison. You go into prison with a skill, you develop it for the time that you are in prison, and then you use that same skill to come home and make a living for yourself. I used to cut hair. I'm a barber by trade. I'm a barber. I learned how to cut before I went to prison. I enhanced my skills in prison. And I came home and I made a living for myself and my family working in a barbershop. The same way that Yusuf did. Follow the blueprint. Follow the blueprint. I mean, it's just really sad, man. It's really sad, man, that this is where we are in today's time, man. You learned a skill in prison, learn how to hone in on that skill, and use that, capitalize off of that skill to use it to, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given every single one of us a skill. Allah has given every single one of us a skill. Use that skill to earn yourself a living. Yusuf alayhi salam, فَآوَى أَبَوَيْهِ, he embraced his father. He embraced his father. Imam al-Baghawi, rahimahullah ta'ala, gives us a little glimpse into the conversation between Yusuf and his father. قال يوسف ليعقوب لما لقيه. Yusuf said to Yaqub when he embraced him, he said, يا أبتي بكيت علي حين ذهب بصرك. He said, oh my father, did you really cry over me? Did you really cry over me? Did you really cry over me until you lost your eyesight? This is Yusuf talking to his father while he's embracing him. He said, oh my father, did you really lose your eyesight over me crying? He said, oh my father, ya abati, ala ta'alam anna al-qiyama yajma'una. He said, oh my father, don't you know that we would have been reunited yawm al-qiyamah? You didn't have to cry over me until you lost your eyesight. Even if I was dead, we would have been reunited yawm al-qiyamah. You don't have to exert yourself like that. ألا تعلم أن القيامة تجمعنا. Didn't you realize that Yawm al-Qiyamah would have reunited us? And Yaqub says to him, man, subhanAllah. Yaqub says to Yusuf, قال بلى يا بني. He said, of course, oh my beloved son, my dear son. He said, لكن فارقتك وأنت صغير. He said, but I lost you when you were little. I lost you when you were small. He said, فَخَشِيتُ أَن تُسْلَبْ دِينَكَ. He said, and I feared. He said, I lost you when you were small. And I feared that you would have lost your religion along the way. I feared that your deen would have been stripped. Your deen would have been taken from you when you were small. فَيُحَالُ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنِكَ. And I would have never got a chance to reunite with you, Yawm al-Qiyamah. Subhanallah. Wow. Subhanallah. He said, you were taken away from me when you were small. And I feared that your deen, you would have been stripped of your religion. And perhaps we would have never saw each other, Yawm al-Qiyamah. SubhanAllah. So the whole time Yusuf is crying over Yusuf, or Yaqub is crying over Yusuf, he's thinking that even if he is alive, what if he's not on Tawheed? Even if he is alive, what if he's not on the religion that I raised him on? SubhanAllah. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes on, وَرَفَعَ أَبَوَيْهِ عَلَى الْعَرْشِ وَخَرُّوا لَهُ سُجَّدًا. وَرَفَعَ أَبَوَيْهِ عَلَى الْعَرْشِ فَخَرُّوا لَهُ سُجَّدًا. And then he got up from his throne. Yusuf is sitting on a throne next to the king. He gets up from his throne and he tells his parents, he tells Yaqub and his aunt Leah, who is now his stepmother, sit down on my throne. فَرَفَعَ أَبَوَيْهِ عَلَى الْعَرْشِ. Sit on my throne. Sit in his parents in his throne. I'm the man now, but I'm only the man because of you. Sit on my throne. فَخَرُّوا لَهُ سُجَّدًا. And all of them fell down into sujood, prostrated. They all prostrated. Leah, Yaqub, and the other 11 brothers. Binyamin and the other brothers. They all fell down into sujood. Yusuf says in that moment, قال يا أبتي هذا تأويل رؤياي من قبل قد جعلها ربي حقا. He said, oh my father, this is the interpretation of my dream for when I was small. He had to wait almost 50 years for the interpretation of that dream. Meanwhile, Yaqub knew what the dream meant when he first told him. But he couldn't expose it to him then. Because as one of the first lessons we learn, لَيْسَ كُلَّ مَا يُعْرَفْ يُقَالُ, not everything you know you expose. That was a lesson he had to learn for himself. You understand? That is a lesson Yusuf had to learn on his own. He said, oh my father, this is the dream. You know what I mean? Like, you can only imagine when they prostrated to him, his mind goes back to when he was a kid, the dream that he saw that started it all. My dream. قَدْ جَعَلَهَا رَبِّي حَقًّا, and my Lord has brought it to reality. My Lord has brought it to reality. SubhanAllah. Meanwhile, Yaqub knew that this was the interpretation of the dream when Yusuf first exposed it to him. But Yaqub did not tell him what the dream meant. He carried this dream for so many years. And the deep part about it is that Yusuf was given the ability to interpret dreams. So you're trying to think to yourself, all of this time, he's interpreting the dream of the two men in the prison. He interpreted the dream of the king. How come he couldn't interpret this dream? How come he couldn't interpret this dream? Evidenced by the fact that when it happened, he turned to his father and said, this is the interpretation of the dream, which means that he held on to the dream this whole entire time, never fully understanding the interpretation of that dream because Allah hadn't given him access. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not give him access. So you got to sit. There's certain knowledge that some of us have right now that you really don't understand. Hadith that you have memorized. Ayahs from the Quran that you have memorized that you know that you don't really understand right now until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows you to put yourself in a situation and you see that ayah, that text come into fruition right in front of you. We're carrying information that we actually don't even understand. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that. He said, رُبَّ حَامِلِ الْفِقْهِ لَيْسَ بِفَقِيهٍ. He said, perhaps the person that is carrying the fiqh, perhaps the person that's carrying the fiqh doesn't understand it. Perhaps the person that's carrying the knowledge doesn't understand it. وَرُبَّ حَامِلِ الْفِقْهِ إِلَى مَنْ هُوَ أَفْقَى مِنْهُ. And perhaps the people that are carrying the knowledge are carrying it to someone who will understand it better than they do. How many parents have passed down hadith and ayat to their children and their children have a better understanding than their own parents? You were the carrier. Your children are the ones who understand it. You understand? So brings me to lesson number 69, and that is respect for your parents. The essence of our gratitude to Allah is manifested in the way that we respect our parents. He sat his parents on a throne. You understand? وَرَفَعَ أَبَوَيْهِ عَلَى الْعَرْشِ. He lifted his parents up and told them, sit on my throne. Sit on my throne. Because I wouldn't have a throne if it wasn't for you. The essence of our gratitude to God is manifested in the way that we respect our parents. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. That your Lord has obligated, has mandated, has made mandatory upon you that you worship none but Him, وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا, and that you be dutiful to your two parents. Your Lord has obligated that you worship none but Him, وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا, and that you be dutiful to your two parents. Notice how Allah mentions dutiful to your two parents right after His right of being worshipped alone. Meaning the second most important right in Islam is the right of the parents after the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He put His parents on a throne to honor them. But then they honored him by prostrating to him. Instagram, you guys are going to turn off. I'll turn you back on, inshallah. Subhanallah. But to honor and respect your parents. And when he honored them by sitting them in his throne, on his chair, they honored him by prostrating to him. Because in the religion of Ya'qub, or in the Sharia, in the legislation of Ya'qub, greeting someone or honoring someone was done by prostrating to them. Greeting someone or honoring someone was done by prostrating to them. That was in the legislation of Ya'qub. So this was something that was permissible during that time. This was something that was permissible during the time of Ya'qub, in the Sharia of Ya'qub. However, it was made haram in Islam. In Islam, it is haram to prostrate to anyone. The Prophet ﷺ said, لو كنت آمرا أحدا أن يسجد لأحد لأمرت المرأة أن تسجد لزوجها. That if I was going to command anyone, another human being, to prostrate to another human being, I would order a woman to prostrate to her husband, showing you the magnificent right that the husband has in Islam. If I was going to command anyone to prostrate to anyone, then I would command a woman to prostrate to her husband. But prostration is only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's narrations that mention that Salman al-Farisi, when he left Persia and he finally arrived in Medina and he converted to Islam, he walked up to the Prophet ﷺ and he prostrated. And the Prophet ﷺ told Salman, get up. He said, Inna sujood lillah. Sujood is only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All right? So them prostrating to Yusuf, that was something that was permissible in the legislation of Ya'qub, not permissible in Islam. And then Yusuf alayhi salam, he goes on, he said, وَرَفَعَ أَبَوَيْهِ عَلَى الْعَرْشِ وَخَرُّوا لَهُ سُجَّدًا. And Yusuf, he put his parents on a throne, and his parents and the brothers, they all prostrated to him. قال يا أبت هذا تأويل رؤياي من قبل قد جعلها ربي حقا. He said, oh my father, this is the interpretation of the dream that I saw before when I was a kid. Indeed, my Lord has made it a reality. My Lord has made it a reality. And then Yusuf goes on to say, this is the last conversation. Yusuf goes on to say, he said, قد أحسن بي إذ أخرجني من السجن وجاء بكم من البدو من بعد أن نزغ الشيطان بيني وبين إخوتي إن ربي لطيف لما يشاء إنه هو العليم الحكيم. That Yusuf, he goes on to say, this is the interpretation of my dream from before. My Lord has made it a reality, has made it come true. My Lord was good to me when he took me out of prison and he brought you to me here from the Bedouin life, from living out in the desert. After Shaitan had sown enmity between me and my brothers. Notice how Yusuf is now doing the same thing that Ya'qub did earlier. And that was identifying Shaitan as the origin of all of the dysfunction that they experienced. Yes, the brothers, they are responsible for the drama that they caused. However, the origin of that is Shaitan. The origin of all of the dysfunction that they experienced was none other than Shaitan. And when you notice, look at what Yusuf says. I want to see if you guys can catch this. When Yusuf says, he said that my Lord was good to me when he got me out of prison. إِذْ أَخْرَجَنِي مِنَ السِّجْنِ. When he got me out of prison. وَجَاءَ بِكُم مِنَ الْبَدْوِ مِن بَعْدِ أَن نَزَغَ الشَّيْطَانِ. And when he brought you to me from the desert, and when he exposed the plot and the trickery of Shaitan when he separated me and my brothers. If you notice in the things that Yusuf is mentioning, he's mentioning now the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did for him and why he's grateful to Allah. Notice he didn't mention something else. What didn't Yusuf mention? He said he brought me out of prison, and that whole debacle, that whole situation with the woman. He got me out of prison. He brought my family to me. What did Yusuf not mention that Allah did for him? Right? He blamed Shaitan, not his brothers. There's something that Yusuf didn't mention. No, not Zuleika. Zuleika was the well. Very good. Farsha, very good. He didn't mention the well. Why? He never said, Allah did good to me when he got me out of the well. He got me out of prison. He brought you all to me. Why didn't he mention the well? Why didn't he mention the well? Why didn't he mention the well? Because he wanted to cover the brother's back, right? Because that was one of our lessons. When you forgive someone, you don't bring it up again. You guys, you follow me. Sisters, you got it. Sisters, are you following? When you forgive somebody, you don't bring it up again. Not even in conversation. Not even in general conversation. He never brought it up again. He said, my Lord did good to me when he brought me out of the prison. He brought my family to me. He never said when he got me out of the well, because bringing the well situation up again, then that would mean that he really didn't forgive his brothers. Because when you forgive somebody, you don't keep reminding them of their mistake. Nah, it's not that he didn't want to rat on them. It's just that if you forgave them, then why do you keep bringing it up? It would have sullied the whole conversation if he would have brought that up. He forgave them. And when you forgive somebody, you don't keep reminding them of their mistake, because then it's not really forgiveness. You understand? Why the sisters, though, as I mentioned yesterday, a lot of women are guilty of this. You say that you've forgiven your husband, you've forgiven your spouse, but you constantly keep bringing up what he did in the past. You constantly keep bringing it up. And if you forgave him, then don't bring it up again. The nuance is very deep, very deep. And he didn't mention the situation of the well because he already forgave them. And then his last conversation, his last words, this ayat, surah number 12, ayat 101. This ayat ends the story of Yusuf. Yusuf's last words in this story. Pay attention. Pay attention to Yusuf's last words in this story. He said, رَبِّ قَدْ آتَيْتَنِي مِنَ الْمُلْكِ وَعَلَّمْتَنِي مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْأَحَادِيثِ. He said, oh my Lord. This is now Yusuf, after talking to his father, now he's communicating with his Lord. Now he's communicating with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Humbling himself before Allah, realizing that this is far above what I deserve. I didn't deserve any of this, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ever bless you with so much, you start to get scared because you like, is Allah setting me up for something? Because I am receiving entirely too much for what my hands call for. My hands don't even call for these type of blessings. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God is blessing me on levels that has me afraid. God is blessing me on levels that have me afraid. Let me humble myself in front of him and let him know that I don't deserve any of this. I don't deserve any of this. Let me just, as a disclaimer before God, let me put out this disclaimer in front of God. You giving me all of this, but I don't deserve any of it. None of it. Right? Your hardship is impending, right? You just like, this impending doom. You're like waiting for the shoe to drop. I don't deserve any of this. So Yusuf turns to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he says, قَدْ آتَيْتَنِي مِنَ الْمُلْكِ وَعَلَّمْتَنِي مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْأَحَادِيثِ. He said, oh my Lord, you have given me dominion, sovereignty, mulk. Mulk meaning not just money, not just wealth, not just dominion, but sovereignty. Sovereignty. That's what makes you a real king. You a king when you have sovereignty. When you rule over you. You have full authority over you. Then you become a king. Then you become a queen. Becoming a king or queen is not by way of your possessions. It's by way of your authority over yourself. The authority that you have over your opinions, the authority that you have over your thoughts, the authority that you have over your emotions, the authority that you have over your physical, your physical prowess, your authority over yourself. That is the real sovereignty. That is what makes you a king. That is what makes you a king. That is what makes you a queen. He said, قَدْ آتَيْتَنِي مِنَ الْمُلْكِ. You have given me sovereignty. Meaning I'm no longer a slave. I'm no longer somebody's servant. I'm no longer trapped under the wife of the Aziz. I'm no longer in physical prison. I'm not in emotional prison. I'm not in moral prison. I'm not in psychological prison. I am free. Free. I rule over the wealth of Egypt. I am free. You understand? That is real sovereignty. How many of us sitting here right now can say that you are totally free? You are free to be you. No reservations, unapologetically you, standing in your authentic self, you, unapologetically you. You make no excuses for who you are and what you are. If that's who you are right now, then you're a king, you're a queen, because you have sovereignty. You have real sovereignty. You have authority over your thoughts, your beliefs, your actions, your emotions, everything. There's some people who don't make a move unless somebody else approves it. There's some people who don't think for themselves unless somebody else approves it. There's some people who marry somebody and then when their constituents don't agree with that, then they ask for a divorce or they get out of the situation because your constituents didn't agree with it. I know how many sisters have lost their marriage, not because they wanted to be out of the marriage, but because their friends didn't approve of it. You don't have no control, no authority over yourself. There's some people who hold beliefs that are in opposition to the public opinion, but you will never express it in public because you are afraid of opposition, because you are afraid to be you. You are afraid to express how you really feel because you are afraid of opposition. You are a prisoner. I told you before, the worst type of prison cell is the one that doesn't have any bars because you think you're free, but you're not. You think you are free, but you're not. And there's nothing that is more liberating than this story right here. You can only imagine Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removed every anchor that held Yusuf down in this situation. Everything that held him down, removed it. Clip, clip, clip. All of these things. It's like you're standing up and there's all of these things holding you, anchoring you down, and you got to clip every single one of them in order for you to be fully liberated. Look at him in this moment. Look at him in this moment. Free, completely. He said, "O Rabbi, qad ataytani min al-mulki wa 'allamtani ta'wil al-ahadith." He said, "Oh my Lord, you have given me sovereignty. وَعَلَّمْتَنِي مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْأَحَادِيثِ, and you have given me ilm, you have given me knowledge. فَاطِرُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ, the originator of the heavens and the earth." Now he goes to praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَاطِرُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ, you are the originator of the heavens and the earth. أَنْتَ وَلِيِّي فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ, you are my wali, my guardian in this life and in the hereafter. Tawaffani Musliman wa alhiqni bis salihin. Allow me to die as a Muslim and reunite me with the salihin in the hereafter. Khitamuhu misk. This verse ends the story of Prophet Yusuf, and he ended this story like a king. He ended this story like a king. asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the real king, to allow him to die as a Muslim and reunite him with the Salihin. The Salihin here meaning his forefathers. Ibrahim, Ismail, Ishaq, وَأَلْحِقَنِي بِالصَّالِحِينَ. Allow me to unite me with the righteous in the hereafter. Because those were his role models. You understand? Those were his role models. Look at who our role models are in this life. He said, unite me with the righteous in the hereafter. Those are his role models. His grandfather, his great-great-grandfather, those are his role models. He asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a good ending. Husnul khitam. He asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a good ending. And Imam al-Baghawi, he mentions that Zulaykha gave birth to 3 of his children. Here's some fun fact for you. Zulaykha gave birth to 3 children for him. One of his sons, it was 2 sons and a girl. Zulaykha gave birth to Ephraim, which was one of his sons. Misha, which was another son. And he gave birth to a daughter, Rahma. Guess who married Rahma? You'll never guess. Guess who married Rahma? You'll never guess. Who was the prophet that came after Yusuf? Who was the prophet that came after Yusuf? Now you're scrambling to go do some research. Who came after Yusuf? Aaron? Nope. Nope. Zechariah? Nope. They were down the line. Nah, that was down the line. That was hundreds of years ago. Idris? Nope. Dawood? Nope. Prophet Ayub. Prophet Ayub married the daughter of Yusuf, who was Rahma. SubhanAllah. And we all know what happened to Ayub, right? What happened to Prophet Ayub alayhi salam? They had everything, and Allah took everything away from him. SubhanAllah al-Azim. Prophet Ayub married her. I just told you guys. But Zulaykha gave birth to 3 children, Ephraim, Misha, and Rahma. Rahma became the wife of Ayub, who was tested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with leprosy. You guys keep saying other prophets' name. I just told you. Ayub. Prophet Ayub. Yusuf died when he was 120 years old. He was buried, as some scholars mention, he was buried in the Nile River. They threw his body in the Nile River because people wanted him to be buried in their village. And they were about to start a war. All right. They were about to start a war. Yes, she's the one that sold her hair. Yes, that was Yusuf. So now I'm connecting that. We're connecting the dots now. That was Yusuf's daughter. Yep. So now you know where Ayub's wife, where she get it from. Her father was Yusuf. Her father was Yusuf. She held Ayub down the whole time. And then finally she couldn't take it anymore. She cut her hair. She sold her hair to try to get him some help. Yeah. So now you know. Now you made the connection. Now you made the connection. Look at the story of Prophet Ayub. That woman that held him down throughout that whole situation was none other than Rahma, the daughter of Yusuf. SubhanAllah. Some scholars say. Yusuf alayhi salam lived till he was 120 years old. And he was buried. They threw his body in the Nile River because everyone wanted him to be buried in their village. And, you know, they were about to start a war. And they thought that if they threw his body in the Nile River, that the river would, you know, his body would eventually disintegrate into the water. And, you know, the water would, you know, go throughout Egypt and would bless Egypt. So that was their, you know, that was their philosophy, you know. And that was mentioned in the tafsir of Imam al-Baghawi. But the one thing that you look at the dua of Yusuf alayhi salam, in the end, he said, he started off praising Allah. And then he began to mention Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's rububiyyah, right? He mentions Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's lordship, fatiru samawati wal ard. And then he began to mention Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's wilaya, mentioning Allah's guardianship over him, because he realized that you are my guardian in this life. And if you are my guardian in this life, then you are most certainly my guardian in the hereafter. He said, Anta waliyi fi dunya wal akhirah. Memorize this dua, guys. Please memorize this dua. If you don't do anything else, you got one more day to fast, inshallah ta'ala. The Eid is on Sunday. You got one more day to fast. Memorize. Take from tonight and tomorrow and memorize this dua. This is the way Yusuf alayhi salam, right? This is the way Yusuf ended this story. Fatiru samawati wal ard. Anta waliyi fi dunya wal akhirah. Tawaffani musliman wa alhiqni bis salihin. Take my life as a Muslim. Take my life as a Muslim. He wanted this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ended this story in such a beautiful way. Ended this story in such a beautiful way. With Yusuf supplicating to Allah that Allah make him die as a Muslim. Wa alhiqni bis salihin, and unite me with the salihin, the righteous in the hereafter. And it reminds me of a dua that Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu, was reported that Abu Bakr used to make this dua. Allahumma ja'al khayra a'malina khawatimaha. Oh Allah, make the best of our deeds the last of our deeds. Wa khayra a'malina awakhiriha. And the best of our years the last of our years. Wa khayra ayyamina yawman nalqaka. And the best of our days the day that we meet you. Allahumma ighfir lana ma mada wa aslih lana ma baqa. Oh Allah, forgive us for what has preceded and rectify for us what awaits us. Dua, man. Ij'al khayra a'malina khawatimaha. Make the best of our deeds the last of our deeds. Wa khayra a'malina awakhiriha. And the best of our years the last of our years. Wa khayra ayyamina yawman nalqaka. And the best of our days the day that we meet you. Oh Allah, we ask you to allow us to benefit from this surah. We ask you, oh Allah, to allow us to absorb the hikam, the wisdom that is embedded in this surah, that we read this surah over and over and over again until we absorb every piece of wisdom that is embedded in this surah. We've only touched the tip of the iceberg. What you guys have been given, what you guys have been given, as they say, qatra nada, is only just a piece of the morning dew, just a drop of the morning dew, And the more and more you ponder and reflect on the lessons, the more and more you ponder and reflect, you bring life to this surah. You bring life to this surah by the more and more you ponder and you reflect on it. Inshallah, I'll post a dua, bi'idhnillah. I'll post a dua. But the dua of Prophet Yusuf mentioned in the last ayah, that is the dua that I want you guys to memorize. Fatiru samawati wal ard, the originator of the heavens and the earth. Anta waliyi fi dunya wal akhirah. You are my wali, my guardian in this life and the hereafter. Tawaffani musliman. Allow me to die as a Muslim. Take my soul as a Muslim. Wa alhiqni bis salihin, and allow me to unite me with the righteous in the hereafter. That was the dua that Yusuf made, and that ayat ended the story of Prophet Yusuf. Alhamdulillah, and I believe we still got about 10 minutes left. Whew. I am exhausted. I am exhausted. Not so much physically, just the mental that you put into it, just researching and looking through books and reading what this sheikh said and what that one said and what this one said and trying to put it all together to try to make it make sense. And then to deliver that to you guys with the type of energy that hopefully you won't ever forget. It's a lot. It takes a lot. It's a lot. But it was all worth it. It was all worth it. It was all worth it. No, I'm not going to continue teaching after Ramadan. No. Qad kufitum. You guys have been given enough. You guys have been given enough. The story of Julaybib. I've talked about Julaybib before. I've spoken about that story before. It's very short. I wanted something that was kind of long that would carry us through the whole month of Ramadan. At the beginning of Ramadan, I was really trying to think about what could I talk about? What could I, last year we went through all of the du'as in the Quran and, that whole series. And then I'm just like, well, what could I do that's still related to the Quran that would carry us through? And then I'm just like, the light bulb goes off. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala obviously gave me access to that. And the light bulb goes off. And I'm just like, why don't I just do the story of Yusuf? I think that will hold us down. Alhamdulillah, man. Jazakumullah khairan for your listening. The teacher is only as good as the student. You guys have, stayed with me for the most part for every single night. Some of you guys were on every single night. I had a brother, man, subhanAllah, dear brother, call me and say, listen, man, my whole composition book is full, man, with notes, man, subhanAllah al-Azim, man. And, we just pray that it's all worth it, man. I believe that it was, man. You guys have been a great audience. You guys have been great students. And alhamdulillah, I'm grateful and appreciative that, I had you guys here for the whole month of Ramadan. As I said, inshallah, I begin typing up the lessons and formatting it and then turning it into a book. It'll take some months, inshallah ta'ala. I'm going to put everything to the side and just kind of focus on that. And hopefully, inshallah, by the time school starts again, October, November, inshallah, the book will be ready for publish, inshallah, for publishing, bi'idhnillah. Please keep me and my family in your dua, inshallah ta'ala, and I will do that for you. Revive the strong hunger to go after something that motherhood distracted me from. Alhamdulillah, go after it. Go after it. Liberate yourself, man. Liberate yourself. Stop being anchored by these false prisons. They only exist in our minds. They only exist here. You keep telling yourself, I can't do it because I got kids. I can't do it because of this. I can't do it because of that. Those are only prison that exist in your mind. It's a prison that exists in your mind. So while we have a few moments, I would like you guys to kind of post which lesson. We covered 69 lessons. I really wish I could have pushed it to 70. But I'm sure we can grab one out of the dua. I'm sure we can grab a lesson out of that dua, man. What lesson out of all of the 69 lessons that we covered, what lesson touched you the most? I would like to hear from you guys. Just post which lesson affected you the most. At what part of the story did you find yourself affected the most? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, thank you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. Thank you so much. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala love you all for the sake of whom you love me, for whom's sake you love me. Which lesson, which part of the story affected you the most? That when the lesson was over, make dua for your son, Abdullah, mashallah, Abdul Samad. You still pushing out kids, man? Come on. You're still pushing out kids? Allahu Akbar. MashaAllah, may Allah make them from amongst the Salihin, the Shakireen, those who are grateful, those who are righteous. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect you and your family. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you all that is good in this life and the hereafter. Success comes from sabr. Very good. Inna nasr ma'a sabr. Victory comes with sabr. Victory comes with patience. Victory comes with patience. Coming home from prison and taking care of your family, absolutely. Absolutely. All you got to do is look at what Yusuf did. MashaAllah ta'ala, brother. Ayakallah, we miss you too, man. Alhamdulillah. Not everything you know that you have to expose. Absolutely. Absolutely. Reuniting with Binyamin, mashallah. When Prophet Yusuf asked, oh my gosh, Abdurrahman, you just, man, listen. When Prophet Yusuf asked Angel Jibreel, is Allah angry with me? Is Allah mad at me? Whew, man, oh man. I'd be killing myself twice because obviously I'm preparing this. So I'm going through some emotional stuff as I'm preparing it. And then I'm delivering it to you. So I'm experiencing that one more time, man. Yes, that was very powerful. When the people don't see value in you, it doesn't mean that you're not valuable. Absolutely. How did he end up with Zulaykha? You got to go back and listen to the story, man. I cannot reiterate anything. I'm not reiterating anything. Everything has been recorded. Everything is laid out for you. You have any questions, you got to go back, go to YouTube, go to my Facebook page, go to YouTube. All of the videos are there. I recorded them all in audio as well. So at some point, I will begin uploading the series to my podcast. All right. It's 20 lectures, inshallah. He was able to forgive his brothers for what they did. Absolutely. Because he realized that they were young and they were ignorant and naive and they were being taken advantage of by shaitan. Above every knowledgeable person is someone more knowledgeable until that knowledge ends with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. That last comment that Yaqub made to Yusuf, that I cried over you because you was taken from me when you were so young. I didn't know if you would still hold on to your religion or not. Absolutely. I see a lot of people saying when he forgave, to whom much is given, much is expected. Absolutely. Just because people don't see your value don't mean you're invaluable. Yes. I did talk about how he married Zulaykha. You got to go back and listen to that lesson. Inshallah, some of the people who were here listening, they could probably share that with you. Some of you guys are just as knowledgeable about this story at this point, if not more than I am. Commodity over humanity. Very good. They saw Yusuf as a commodity. They didn't even see his humanness, man. We're gonna tuck him away and we're gonna sell him. Right, when you speak to someone who has wronged, don't remind them about what they did. If you forgive somebody, then you forgive them. Don't keep reminding them about what they did. The real reason that Zulaykha wanted Yusuf, right? That was a whole nother chapter that opened up. I'm sure that a lot of people were like mind blown when you found out Zulaykha was actually a virgin. Her husband never even touched her. Never even touched her. Right, exactly. The king married him to Zulaykha when he came home from prison, when he made him the Aziz. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Real forgiveness is without reminders. The podcast is on Anchor. You can go to the Maradiya Show on anchor.com, and that is my podcast. You guys are mentioning all of the all right. You guys are mentioning all of the go ahead and get it. You guys are mentioning all of the later lessons, the earlier lessons. We covered 69 lessons in total. Right, Zuleika, that was definitely a tearjerker, man. Absolutely, man. Mashallah, you arrived in Yardville in 99. Just missed me. Yeah, I was going, man. Everybody has a why, exactly. And when you understand somebody's why, you know, sacrifice is the ultimate proof of love. Absolutely. Yaqub said, I will soon make forgiveness for you. I will ask Allah for forgiveness. Not now. I'll wait till the third of the night and ask Allah for forgiveness for you. Right, the embrace, when Yusuf finally embraced Yaqub, absolutely. When you ask for something, ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not people. Absolutely. How about when you ask for something, you should ask Allah to give it to you while you're in a good state. Angel Jibril came to Yusuf and said, why would you say, oh Allah, prison is more dear to me than what they call me to? If you had to just ask Allah to protect you from them, Allah would have protected you without you having to go to prison. Absolutely. Right, when he didn't let his desires get the best of him with the king. Most of fall weak to our desires, absolutely. You can't heal anybody that suffers from envy, not jealousy. Big difference between envy and jealousy. I mean, for all of your du'as, man. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala respond to all of your du'a. Right, you're not responsible for what happens to you, but you are responsible for how you respond to it. Absolutely. Absolutely. After difficulty comes ease. Absolutely. What you think you become. Thank you, Brother Greg. What you think you become. Absolutely. Be mindful of your thoughts. Absolutely. Absolutely, a love for Angel Jibril, that, you know, Allah always sends Angel Jibril multiple times. Multiple times Angel Jibril came to Yusuf during this story. Absolutely, man. Right, mind-blowing. I totally forgot about that one. When Zuleika said to Yusuf, when Yusuf asked Zuleika why she doesn't love him as much as he loves her, and she said, because the moment I fell in love with Allah, you know, I busied myself with loving Allah than loving other human beings, man. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always your silver lining in the darkest of situations. Absolutely. Malika, you said, I play stars by every lesson that pulled at me personally. 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 14, 9, 19, 27, 28, 41, 42, 44. MashaAllah. That's good. Right, Sister Suhaila, mashallah, you caught that. The statement of Zuleika, what she said, glory be to Allah who turned kings into servants because of their disobedience and turned servants into kings because of their obedience. Mashallah, yes, yes. How he refused to go against Allah for Zuleika. Absolutely. When Allah loves you, he uses you. No, I've never been to Nigeria before. Allahumma, I pray. I pray. Shaitan is the origin of all dysfunction. Absolutely. It makes you not hate people so much because you understand the driving force behind it. You understand. That's very good point, Mason. That when you understand that Shaitan is behind it, it teaches you how to tailor your hate, that you don't go so far in hating people because you know that the origin of their dysfunction and the origin of their evil is Shaitan. Human beings in their essence are not evil people. Human beings don't come out of the wombs of their mothers evil. We either get it by learned behavior by, influences that grow up around us. And then, of course, shaitan is definitely an influence in that. Beauty is defined by quality, not quantity. Absolutely. Absolutely. Repentance is a privilege, not a right. Absolutely. Derive your validation from within. When people show you who they are, believe them. Respond accordingly. Absolutely. You guys got it, man. You guys got it. Alhamdulillah. So, for most, I'm hoping for all the Eid, inshallah ta'ala, will be on Sunday. And that concludes Ramadan for us, man. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you all. May Allah bless you all. Please keep me and your family and my family in your dua, and I will do the same. Keep in mind, tonight is the 29th night. Tonight is the 30th night. Yes, and tomorrow is the 30th day. Please, get some dua in before, get some ibadah, some worship in before Ramadan is over. Please make sure you pay your zakatul fitr before it's over. If you know someone personally, then you should give your zakatul fitr to someone that you know personally that needs it. If you don't know anyone personally, and that's a big issue for us, because it shows how detached we are, that we're so connected with social media, but yet we're so detached from one another, because many of us don't even know one family that's in need, that's struggling, that's in need. And there are many. And many of us don't know one Muslim who's in need of food or in need of money. And that's really sad. That's really sad, because it shows that with social media, we're so connected, yet so disconnected at the same time. The Prophet ﷺ knew everybody in his community that was poor, that was in need. He knew everybody. These are the people that we should know in the community. These are the people that we should know in the community. No, as of right now, I'm not going to be giving the Eid khutbah. I, like everybody else, I'm just going to go to my local masjid for the Eid, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. If something changes between now and Sunday, then I will keep you guys posted. But as of right now, I'm not doing anything. As of right now, I'm not doing anything. Myself and my family trying to find out where we gonna go for the Eid. So I'm just like everybody else, man. But if something changes, inshallah, between now and Sunday, I'll let you guys know, inshallah. All right. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.